I've been moved today by all the amazing examples. I've been moved by the fact that we're all here on a Saturday morning. But at the same time, I was sitting over there cutting up little pieces of paper. And I cut up these pieces of paper right here. And you know what everyone represents? Represents the amount of students who've dropped out of school since we started talking this morning. Every 13 seconds. There have been 800 students. And it kind of freaks me out every time I do it. And someone's got to help me pick this stuff up, man. But that's it. There are 800. And that's only 500. And I got tired of doing it. And so that's what drives me. And it also, if you've ever talked to kids who've dropped out of school, it's sad. Teacher looked at them the wrong way. They missed a couple classes. Teacher said something to them wrong. We got to do something about this. Our system is broken, is tremendously broken. And as Heidi was saying, and Gary was saying, we can't tweak around the edges anymore. We're done. It's not enough. And so I had created various schools in my life, and Sylvia talked about me doing schools for 40 years. I started when I was 6, by the way, was my first school. You're supposed to laugh at that one. Thank you. I had a school in, when I was actually 27, I created a school in Long Island that was looked at as excellent, and I created a school in New Hampshire. I did get fired in that school, and the people who fired me, the interesting thing, they were trying to get rid of me. Instead, they made me famous because they did a TV movie about me with Michael Tucker. NBC did a movie, so they were trying to get rid of me. They made me famous. And then I thought I was kind of done, and I came to Brown to do some work with Ted Sizer, and I saw I wasn't a university type. And then I was asked by the commissioner, would I be interested in doing the school in Providence? And I was 50 at the time, and I said boldly, only if I can do it exactly how I want. And he said yes, which I didn't expect. And so Elliot Washer and myself, who started, we really closed our eyes. And we said, if we didn't know there was such a thing as school, what would it be? I mean, think about if you're teaching your own kid at home. You wouldn't put them in the living room for 45 minutes and ring a bell and then run them into the bathroom, say you can do science now and run them out. You wouldn't do it that way. It's ridiculous. So we really said, what is it? And you know, when they interviewed 100,000 high school students in our country and said, name one word that describes high school, what is it? Boring. The sad part is we know it. We know it and still keep doing it. And so we said, we're going to make a school that's not boring, that's going to empower kids, that's going to engage kids. And our mantra was, what's best for kids, one student at a time. And we hired teachers. We called them advisors. We manipulated all the numbers. Our proportion and our budget is the same as everyone else's. We gave a teacher 15 students, and we said, you're following them for 4 years. And you know what you're starting with? Not that curriculum that Heidi was talking about. We ask, what's your interest? What's your passion? I don't care what it is. That's where you learn. That's what you care about. And then we call the parents in, and we say, we're going to do an individual plan for you. And your passion's animals? Great, we're going to develop that. Your passion's basketball? We're going to develop that. And we know we're trying to teach you to read and write and think and apply your knowledge, but we're going to do it through something that you really care about. So a parent comes in, the kid sits there. Then, as 9th graders, as 14-year-olds, we put them out in the community 2 days a week with somebody that has that same passion. So they're working with a vet. They're working with an architect. They're working in an auto mechanic place. They are doing what they love. And then when they come back, we don't say, wasn't that great? Now we're going to go to classes. We don't do that. We integrate everything into their project. So their reading, their writing, their science comes out of their auto mechanic, out of the being with a nurse or an architect. And that's how we do it. And people kind of laughed at us at first. No classes, no tests. They exhibit their work as 9th graders. They have to stand up for an hour and talk to their students, their other peers, their parents, their other teachers. They have to show their work. You know, you can't, when that thing came out that 90% of kids cheat in school, one of the kids asked me, we can't cheat, can we? How do you do that? You're standing up and talking. You can't tell your teacher to do homework when your mom's sitting there. So that's the system we set up. Let me give you a quick story of one of my kids, Joe, who wanted to study Vietnam. So I don't know what his fascination was. He wanted to study Vietnam. So he found a veteran who was building a memorial. And he started working with that veteran. He started interviewing people, helping to advertise, to build this memorial. Then, because we have all day to do our work, he took a class at Providence College in the Vietnam War. He was 11th grade and got a B+. Then that summer, there was a professor at Brown who was teaching a class to teachers on how to teach the Vietnam War. Our 17-year-old boy, Joe, took the course, okay? He's doing whatever he needs to do to follow that passion. And then as a senior, he came in, and I had done some traveling through Vietnam, and he asked me for my slides. And I said, I never asked you, Joe, what's the fascination with Vietnam? And he got his face got sullen, and he said, from the time I was 6 years old, I would ask my dad to talk to me about the war. His dad fought in the war. And he said, I've asked every year, right around my birthday. And my dad would turn around and walk away from me. Every year. This boy's 18 now. For Joe's senior project, he took his dad. Together, they went to Vietnam. Okay? It's incredible. The kid, as his project, did a website on how to talk to your family about the war. He had different views than his father. All of a sudden, everything opened up. His father opened his drawer, showed him all his medals. That was his passion. Joe went on to become a history major because he got to study something deeply, not a little bit here, a little bit there. And then he graduated, and he's teaching at our school right now, which is a fantastic circle. We have a lot of our kids who graduate, go to school, and come back teaching. So everyone still laughed at us, and then the kids were ready to graduate, and we looked at the stats. And as it turned out, we had a 98% attendance rate. Okay, the city had a 76%. We had 97% graduation rate. The city had a 46% graduation rate. All of a sudden, people going, whoa, every one of our kids went off to college, got big scholarships. Then I got very lucky. It was when Gates was just about starting to give out his money. He came down and visited us. The guy who was running his education department fell in love with our kids because they weren't talking about, yeah, I take science, I take math, they were talking about a passion, something they loved. They don't talk about homework or work in school. That's what they're working on. So I luckily got $5 million and told, go start these schools around the country. And we started 10. And then I got another $25 million and said, go start another 40 more. So we have 60 of these schools around the country. We have groups followed us and started setting up schools in the Netherlands and Australia. So it's all going pretty well. But then I got angry again. And I got angry again because I started seeing some of my kids who didn't stay in college. And our kids had we have a longitudinal study, they have a pretty amazing rate staying in. And then I looked at the facts of low-income first-generation kids to go to college. Those who go to college, now remember, half drop out of high school in our country. Those who go to college, 89% drop out. The kids 89% of the kids can't be wrong. You know, something's wrong. And so that's when I said, just started bothering me more and more. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to start a college because I think they're doing it wrong. And I think they're not engaging the kids. And no one's yelling about it. They're just starting to yell now. Everyone's yelling about high school. College dropout rate is 50% for every rich, poor, whatever. No one yells at that. And that's when you're paying $25 grand. So I started going around to schools, and 2 years ago I started college. This is college Unbound, okay? Which means I'm going to do the same thing. I call it my Met school on steroids. I'm going to get these kids. I went and found 10 kids from my schools around the country. I got a house across the street from my school. I said, you're living there. Let's find your interest, find your passion. So a kid comes, is interested in sustainability and architecture. I find the two most on-the-edge, fantastic architects in my city. He's working with them. He's doing these shipping big containers and making buildings out of them, shipping them to Haiti for a medical. This is now an 18-year-old kid. This year, he's got his own clients at 19 years old and 10 people working with him. And around it, we do the seminars, we do the creative thinking, that's what we have to do. So I guess, I think next, actually, I'm going to start a nursing home. So the next time I'll be here, you'll be hearing. Then I got really angry. I'll be up here and going like that. So, they invite me back in about 20 years. But I just want to say that, one, I appreciate everyone being here because you're the people that are going to make the change. As people have been saying, we cannot afford to tweak around the edges. We can't afford to say, well, let's do this curriculum in a little cuter way. We really got to look at all the things Heidi said, the time, the content. We really got to look at that child. It comes from the child, and that's what makes sense. So I'll end you with the last quote that drives me a little bit and says, I have it on my wall, if you're not standing on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Thank you.